friends, Queen of Flannel here. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to jump right into today's project. I will intro while we are mixing paint. So I am decorating / painting the cover of one of my gouache sketchbooks today. And I am starting out working with Turner acrylic gouache. Originally my plan was to do the entire cover with the acrylic gouache, but a mistake was made that I will talk about in just a minute. If you're not familiar with what gouache is, there are two forms. There is what is commonly referred to as Arrtx gouache, which is basically opaque watercolor. It can be reactivated with water once it dries. And then there is acrylic gouache, which is essentially an acrylic paint, but it dries matte like the watercolor version. But once it is dry, that is it. And so this was where I realized that I fudged up. So I have a few of these sketchbooks that I am currently working in, and originally I was planning on painting the cover of my Supernatural Scene Study sketchbook. So I was going to paint the entire thing this blackish brown and make it look like one of the Supernatural title cards. And for whatever reason, I didn't check before I started painting to make sure that I had the correct sketchbook. And the footage got cut out, but there was actually a little clip of me opening the sketchbook and realizing this is my food sketchbook. So at this point, I had already painted the majority of the cover, and the covers of these sketchbooks are thirsty and they take a lot of paint. I had used up almost half a tube of my jet black, so at that point it was what it was. And as I painting, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of it. So this is an Etchr Labs 8-inch hot press sketchbook. I got this on the Etchr Labs website in a pack of 3, and I currently have 2 of them that I am working in. I have the Supernatural book and then my food book. And so yeah, I was not going to go back and try and repaint over this and essentially waste my paint. So as I am working here, I am trying to formulate a plan and figure out what I was going to do. And so this was kind of when I was like, well, yeah, so I ended up taking a break. Now we're back, and as you can see, I decided to bring in my Arrtx acrylic paint markers, and somehow I lost an entire box of these. I have two of the sets, the 30 sets, and the regular basic tones completely disappeared. So right now, I'm not sure at this point if you can tell what I was going for. But I was a little concerned with how these would handle on the cover of the sketchbook because it is a fairly textured surface. It's hard to explain. It's like canvas, but obviously not as flexible because it's bound to a sketchbook. But they held up pretty well. I was able to layer and get, some different tones and do some blending with these. Now, I will say, with this project, because this is actually the first project that I have really solidly used these paint markers on. I've played with them in a sketchbook, but they dried pretty quickly, and I'm thinking it's the surface of the sketchbook because I ran into the same issue when I was using the acrylic gouache. It just sucked the paint up, so it was really difficult to to blend my paint. It dried really, really quickly, and I had gone through and did, I think, 4 or 5 of those little orange pieces, and then gone back to try and layer another color on top, and it had already dried. So you'll see that there'll come a point where I was bouncing back and forth between the markers, so I was doing smaller sections at a time rather than try and color an entire different, an entire area, and then go back and try and layer over top of it once it had dried, because then I wasn't able to blend that way. So if you have not figured out what my plan for this ended up being, it's a pizza oven. I figured, with the background being that blackish brown, that maybe that would be an interesting idea for the cover of this book. So, and I had enough colors with this set that I was able to do what I wanted. This is the more muted tones, I believe, than the other set, but it worked out in the end. And so I'm just kind of doing some detail work around those little top pieces, the little bricks. This was actually really fun to do. So it was, it worked out in the end. When I realized that I had started coloring on or painting on the wrong sketchbook, I was a little upset, and, I guess that's just kind of how it goes in art. Sometimes you make mistakes and then have to figure out how best to fix them. So now I'm moving down to the pizza, or at least, so I did the outline of the crust just because my original sketch, I had made the pizza a little thicker than I realized it should be. So I went in and just did that outline of the crust before I started doing the fire in the background. And I chose not to do this actually like flames, but more just like heat. And so I'm just kind of trying to, blend my colors into each other, but also keep it kind of, sketchy, illustrative looking. And this was tough too, because I didn't want to leave the caps off the markers. So just kind of, going back and forth between them. Yeah, see, they blend really nice as long as you keep them damp. If you let them dry, then obviously it's gonna be a little tougher. And if you can see it off to the left there, I just grabbed a little sticky notepad. So obviously the markers will pick up, when you're blending, they'll pick up from each other. Not a huge deal. If you just kind of scribble it off onto, a piece of paper, it will take that other color of paint off of the brush tip. So I wasn't super concerned about them getting mixed up. I was really pleased with the way this came out. And I was just trying to, add a little bit of that glow onto the sides of the oven there. And these did a really good job coloring up my colored pencil line. That was just a Derwent Chinese white. I think it was one of my light fast pencils that I used for my sketch, and I did that off camera. And now I'm working on the pizza, and so I'm just adding some sauce around the edges and doing a little blending and kind of adding another layer to the crust to darken it up. And now I'm coming in with this is like the ivory color in the set, but it looks pretty white. And that's my cheese. Just add a little more sauce. Yeah, this was the part that I was really not sure how it was going to look. I struggle with creating depth when I'm doing my own drawings to show distances cover the texture of the sketchbook, so you could see like the holes, the little like divots. So I'm just going back through with the markers and trying to, you know, fill in some of those gaps. It just adds some different values in here. And now we're moving down to the brick. And so I am leaving gaps between each of the squares for that kind of, I don't know what they call it. I guess the concrete in between the brick pieces. Mortar. But I'm not sure. I have no idea. But either way, just so that I can go in with a different color. I guess my mistake of not making sure I had the right sketchbook for what I originally wanted to do worked out. I was pretty pleased with how this turned out in the end, and I got to play with a supply that I haven't used in a project yet, so I would definitely get more of these markers, and it would be nice if I could figure out what I did with my other set that is currently AWOL. I'm just adding some detail. And so now I'm going in and doing... this was the part that I wasn't entirely pleased with, just because I hate my handwriting and hand lettering is hard, but you know what? It's a sketchbook, so it is what it is. And now I'm going in with the white paint pen. And I could probably stand to add another layer to this. I did go in off camera and fix the circles in the center of my O's, just to even them up a little bit. So this part I hated because it's all squished in there. So I came in with another color and just ended up making a little design over top of it to cover it up. I didn't like how it was all smooshed the corner. And I'm just adding a little yellow lighting to our words here. Word. There, much better. And that is pretty much it. So I know it's not exactly adult coloring, but I know that people use these Arrtx paint markers. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.